Oh, what a mess.
This is Neil Schneider from Meant to Be Seen. Welcome back to my messy basement. Today we're going to do something very new. I'm sorry, it's really long overdue, but now that the equipment's readily available, I thought we'd start doing actual virtual reality game reviews. So today we're going to review the Gallery Call of the Starseed by Cloudhead Games running on the HTC Vive. We'll be back with more right after this. Okay, let's get cracking on our game review of the Gallery Call of the Starseed. So out of all the virtual reality games we could have picked for our first review, why did we choose this particular title? Well, I'm going to be a little boastful here. We're very proud that Cloudhead Games, which is of course the company that makes the title, got their start on Meant to Be Seen. It was founded by Denny Unger, and again, very proud that they had a very successful Kickstarter. They got their launch, and look where they are now. So they're doing really well for themselves. Just wanted to send a shout out from MTVS. But beyond that, something that makes this particular title special is they introduced a new method for getting around in virtual reality. They call it the blink movement technique. Others call it teleportation. Let me explain the problem. So when you're playing a room scale virtual reality game, so room scale means that you're literally walking around physically in this virtual reality environment. You're not using a game controller to get around. You're physically walking around a room, and you're also walking around the virtual reality experience. What happens is you take a few steps and you're going to hit your physical wall. Okay, that's as far as you can go. So they had to come up with a method that you could easily get from point A to point B to point C without losing that immersion and without introducing motion sickness. So option one would have been, you just use your game controller and you move like a traditional video game. But that introduces a problem where your virtual space is moving, you're not physically moving, and that disconnect creates a motion sickness. Okay, so that's a no-no. So the solution they came up with, they call it blink, others call it teleportation, is you look where you want to go, you press a button, and you literally hop there. So there's no transition. You get boom, 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 you're where you need to be, and of course you can still walk around in this physical environment. So they're very innovative stuff, and of course a lot of other games benefited from that technique, but I give credit to Cloudhead Games for being the first to show that off. So very innovative stuff. So let's talk about the game itself. So what is it? Well, the story isn't really all that complex. It opens up where you're on a beach on an island. You're there because for whatever reason your sister has gone missing. The island has a secret, and that secret is this machine. I mean, there's not much hidden. You pretty much know right away what's going on. And what is this ancient machine? What does it do? Why is it important, and so on. So these are all things for you to discover on your quest to find your missing sister. I would describe the experience and the way the island's put together and the nature of the graphics. I think it's very comparable to Dear Esther. I know people don't like their games compared to other games and so on, but I mean this as a compliment, is that the nature of the graphics, the quality of the workmanship, it really it is comparable to Dear Esther, and I mean that in a positive way. Now, as far as the gameplay, like how you actually go about playing the game, really impressive. First off, 100%, it's a room scale experience. You're literally walking around and enjoying every nuance of the game. It's definitely, at least from what I've played so far, and I've completed this first chapter, is it's non-violent. Okay, the majority of it is you're walking around, you're taking in the sights, you're doing some puzzle solving. Okay, like I don't want to spoil the fun, but it's very much about interacting with the environment. And when I'm talking about interacting with the environment, I mean that in a big way. So if there's a map to look at, you pick up the map and you look at it. Okay, you may actually carry the map around you as you're going through a labyrinth. Okay, or you have a flashlight and you literally point the flashlight where you need to see, or you can it opens up where you've got a bonfire, at the beach. There's fireworks there. You can pick up the fireworks, you could light the fireworks, and you do all kinds of stuff. So a lot of thought was put into all these interaction details. And it's very important that when you play the game, most of what's there is there for a reason, okay? So it's very important that, there's going to be clues all around you to get from point A to point B to point C. So, the most important clue are these tapes. Okay, so there's these little, cassette tapes. You have a Walkman that you bring with you. You put the tape in, and you can, you hear the clue. You hear like diary entries from your sister or, other people who have been working on the island. So really interesting stuff. And of course, you read the walls. There's things on the walls. There's things on objects. Take nothing for granted, as it will help you, get through the story. So what did I personally like? Well, as I said, I made that comparison to Dear Esther. I think the graphics are phenomenal. It looks like, you look at it, you try it, and it's really something that you want to show off to others. I really enjoyed the interaction. I mean, literally picking things up, looking at them from different angles. I was playing this game with the HTC Vive, so of course you see your hands, and you could open and close them, and you grab things. It's very intuitive. Really like that. They really did some imaginative stuff with the game mechanics itself. It wasn't just about picking things up and looking at them. I also like that, I don't want to spoil the surprises, but there are going to be parts of the game where you have to literally grab things, okay? Or things are being thrown at you and you have to catch them. So that they did things with this that it wasn't just that you were experiencing the game in virtual reality. It would only work well in virtual reality. They really went beyond the traditional controller mechanics. Now, what was cumbersome, things that didn't work quite as well as I would have liked? Well, it kind of proved that you need more than two hands in the virtual reality space. So I mentioned earlier that you have these cassette tapes that you need to play in a Walkman. Well, you also have a backpack. So you take your backpack out and you put objects in and take them out. So every time you want to listen to a tape, you have to stop what you were doing, you have to take out your backpack, you have to take out your Walkman, put the cassette tape in, listen to it, put down your flashlight because maybe you need to look at a map at the same time. Like it was a little bit like life. That's what it was like. And so, it would be helpful maybe in the future chapters. Maybe they have an automated way to just plug the cassette in without having to go through all the rigmarole. Maybe just put the cassette in your head or something. I don't know, but that was it was a little bit of a pain. But nonetheless, that was the nature of the game. It also took, I mentioned earlier, listening to every hint, looking at every object. For that first mission, it took me a while. Okay, like I had to put it down, I had to come back for a second sitting, and once I listened to that tape and in the fine details, it was all there. And they spell it out. I'm not spoiling it. It's the first thing. They actually tell you what needs to be done. I just wasn't a very good listener. But all the same, maybe they just want to drop a few more hints so people immediately know the nature of how the game's put together so they could, have an easier time getting through it. So what about the game value? Okay, so the game is about $20 Canadian or $19.99 if you want to be precise. I'd like to round up, but anyway, I will say that the star that burns twice as bright burns half as long. Okay, you're only going to get once you get the hang of how the game works and the nature of the game, you're going to get through it relatively quickly, and in practice, like I was able to get through the whole game in an afternoon. Okay, and so for that kind of money, it's I would like to see more replay value. It's great for showing to others, and once you've gone through the experience, you've gone through the experience. It would be, but I would have liked to see more out of the game, for that kind of money. So there's little to no replay value with it, other than showing it to other people. So recommendations. Maybe for their next chapters, because their graphics are really rich, it is an enticing experience. Maybe they could have like a secondary game, something that has replay value, that people can pull the title up once in a while, something fun. I know it may be, maybe it's a little gimmicky to do something like that, but I'm just thinking maybe there are ways that, when you run out of money on the game, maybe there's something that could be added, to have that replay value. Maybe a simple game like catching and throwing, or something that uses the environment, just something creative, so that there's a reason to load that game up once in a while. Also, I just want to point out one thing that was a little cumbersome with the interaction, okay, is it was great when you were holding things and picking things up. Once in a while, if something fell on the floor, it was a bit of a struggle to pick it up, because maybe there was a slight disconnect between the controller and where the object was in the virtual space. I can't quite describe it, so sometimes I would have to take my flashlight and push something along so I could eventually grab it. So they're just, little minor things like that, and it is a minor thing. Maybe next time around they could calibrate that a little better, but that's the only real gripe I had with it. So how would I describe it? How would I end this off? Well, first off, this is an excellent starter experience. They had a clear vision. They traded little to nothing off to make this work. They didn't put traditional game controllers in there. They wanted a purebred virtual reality experience, and this is what they delivered. I think that the next time around, hopefully they'll have more resources to work with. I know it was launched with a Kickstarter, and I'm certain that the Cloudhead Games team came up with creative resources, to put this game together. It would deserve to get a lot more resources to have more gameplay, because they really showed a lot of hard work. Obviously, the experience was very positive to anyone who's tried it, and people want more. So it would be good to see them delivering a lot more. And I think that in this case, the Gallery Call of the Starseed really does demonstrate the potential of virtual reality. So hats off to them for doing that. $20, Canadian. I think it's, at this stage in the game, it might be a little bit pricey for the limited amount of gameplay that you get. I know that it's been a bundled game with the HTC Vive, so if you get, if you buy the hardware, you may actually get the game for free. Keep an eye out, as the holidays come, that maybe Steam will have a sale for it that, will be even less expensive. But again, if we could get more gameplay into this title, well worth the money. I mean, it really is. So as far as my final rating on the Gallery Call of the Starseed, I'm going to give it an 8 on 10. And as I play more of these games, as I review them, we'll be able to come up with a more formal scoring system. But I think 8 on 10 is well deserved. And that's it. Back with more right after this. One more story before I go, just so you know how much virtual reality is starting to impact my day-to-day here. I was in the middle of playing the game, the Gallery Call of the Starseed. I'm enjoying the environment. I'm looking at every little experience. Anyway, my wife calls from upstairs and she says, "Neil, are you on the phone?" I'm like, "No." And she pauses. She says, "Are you in VR?" And I said, "Maybe." She said, "Okay, I'll bug you later." So it is like that. That's what things are like now, and it's probably like that for other people who are enjoying their virtual reality headsets. On that note, if you want to be a guest on the program, by all means, send an email to neilsmessybasement@mtbs3d.com. Looking forward to catching up with you next week.